A spiritual awakening is often not a sudden, lightning bolt moment of clarity like in the movies. It begins with a whisper. It starts with that splinter in your mind. It is your soul's way of telling you that it no longer wants to sleep, that it wants to live the life that is truly yours. This can be a difficult, confusing, and sometimes frightening journey because it requires you to question everything you know, every value you believed in, and even the person you thought you were. As the famous psychologist Carl Jung said, enlightenment is not imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This video is a map for that very journey of making the darkness conscious. We will explain the 7 fundamental stages of spiritual awakening and the symptoms of each. This way, you can understand where you are, know you are not alone, and see what awaits you at the next step. If you're ready, let's unfold this map and head to the first stop on the journey, the initial whisper that starts at all. Stage 1. Restlessness in the sleep. This is the stage where everything begins, but you don't yet know what has started. Your life moves on autopilot. Wake up, go to work, come home, watch TV, sleep, repeat. It's as if life is a script written by someone else, and you're just reciting your lines. The most distinct feeling in this stage is a deep sense of dissatisfaction. Money, success, relationships, things that are expected to make people happy, are not enough to fill that void inside you. Sometimes, paradoxically, the more you have, the bigger that void grows. Symptoms: you often find yourself asking, what is the meaning of my life? Activities you once enjoyed now seem meaningless to you. You begin to quietly question the definitions of success imposed by society, a good job, a nice house. You feel like you don't belong, that it's not your life. You feel a profound loneliness, even in the middle of crowds. What's happening at this stage is this. Your soul is gently knocking on your door. Hey, are you in there? There's something you've forgotten. Yourself. This is the call. Most people ignore this call. They bury themselves in work, shopping, and distractions to muffle the sound. But this only silences it temporarily. If you continue to ignore this whisper, your soul has no choice but to raise its voice. And that is when the second stage, where everything begins to crumble, begins. Stage 2. The dark night and the demolition. If you ignored the gentle knock at the door, the whisper of the first stage, your soul is left with no other option. It has to break the door down. This is the second stage, the dark night of the soul. Like the tower card in tarot, the main pillars of your life begin to collapse one by one. This collapse is often triggered by an external event. You suddenly lose your job, a long-term relationship ends, you face a health issue, or you lose a loved one. What looks like a disaster from the outside is actually your soul's greatest act of kindness. It is forcibly freeing you from everything that is false, from every structure that no longer serves you. It is throwing you out of your comfort zone, out of that castle of false security where you were asleep. The symptoms of this stage are intense and painful. You feel your life is completely meaningless and empty. You may experience deep depression and hopelessness. The question, who am I, is no longer a philosophical inquiry, but a painful identity crisis. The old you is gone, but the new you has not yet emerged. You feel lost in this limbo. Your entire belief system is shaken. You lose faith in God, the universe, life, and even yourself. You socially isolate yourself, feeling that no one understands you or sees your pain. This stage can feel like hell itself. But know this, it is not an end, it is a purification. It is like a caterpillar dissolving inside its chrysalis before becoming a butterfly. You are inside that chrysalis. Your old identity, the structures of your ego, are melting away so that a new, more authentic you can emerge. The only thing you can do in this process is to stop resisting, surrender, allow the pain to pass through you. Because the more you try to escape the pain, the longer you will remain in this stage. And when you hit that absolute rock bottom, When you feel you have nothing left to lose, a tiny light begins to seep in. That is when you transition to the third stage, where your true quest begins. Stage 3. The quest and discover you've passed through hell. You've lost a lot, and now you're sitting amidst the wreckage. But there's a strange freedom in hitting rock bottom. There's nothing left to fear. It is at this point that the small voice inside you speaks again, but this time in a different tone. Well, if everything was a lie, then what is the truth? This is the beginning of the third stage, the quest phase. You now begin to search not to numb your pain, but to find real answers. Your eyes have been opened. Symptoms. You start absorbing spiritual, philosophical, and psychological books like a sponge. You become acquainted with names like Carl Jung, Ibn Arabi, and Osho. You develop a curiosity for practices like meditation, yoga, Sufism, breathwork, and dream interpretation. You start trying things you previously dismissed as nonsense. You download a meditation app, sign up for a yoga class. You begin to think that coincidences might actually be signs. Synchronicities catch your attention. You meet new people, attracting those who are also on a quest. The gap between you and your old social circle widens. This stage is exciting and illuminating. It's as if you were fumbling in a dark room and someone handed you a flashlight. You still can't see the whole room, but you now have a tool to light your path ahead. This is the information gathering phase. You study different maps and research different paths. But after a while, you realize that just reading and researching is not enough. You understand that you must experience that knowledge within yourself. And this awareness carries you to the heart of awakening, the fourth and one of the most crucial stages. Stage 4, inner confrontation. You've studied the maps. You've read the books. You have a lot of knowledge. But at some point, you understand that real transformation has to happen not outside, but inside. No matter how many books you read, you cannot move to the next level without facing the monsters within. This is the inner confrontation stage. It's time to meet your shadow, as Carl Jung called it. The shadow is everything you have repressed, denied, and ignored within yourself. Your jealousy, anger, arrogance, fears, shamas. Symptoms. You notice traits in other people that extremely irritate or trigger you. You can't stand someone's arrogance, which is often a reflection of your own repressed arrogance. Past traumas and childhood wounds begin to surface. Memories you thought you'd forgotten appear in your dreams or meditations. You notice self-sabotaging cycles. You start to understand why you ruin things just as they're going well, or why you attract the same wrong types of people. This can be a very painful and shameful process. But this is the most important crossroads on the awakening path. When you stop judging these shadow parts and start to understand and accept them, an incredible thing happens. You discover that within that repressed anger lies the power to protect your boundaries, that beneath that jealousy lies the desire to realize your own potential. Every part of your shadow brings you a gift, a strength. When you integrate these parts, when you embrace them, you become whole. You no longer strive to be just a good person. You become a whole person. And this integration is incredibly liberating. This is spiritual alchemy itself. Stage 5, the rebuilding of the self. You've danced with your shadow. You've embraced even your darkest parts. Nothing is hidden from you anymore. Now it's time to build a new house on that cleared land. Your own house. This is the 5th stage, the rebuilding of the self. In this stage, you no longer seek external validation or guidance. You have understood that your greatest guide is within you, that voice of your soul, your higher self, or your intuition. You start to trust it. Symptoms. You make big cleanups in your life. You quit a job that doesn't serve you, and toxic friendships that drain your energy. Your values completely change. Things society values like money, status, and fame lose their meaning for you. Values like peace, love, authenticity, and creativity come to the fore. You are not afraid to express your authentic self. You do what feels right to you, without worrying about what people will say. You start to enjoy solitude. Loneliness is no longer an escape, but a sacred time to connect with your inner guide. In this stage, you begin to align your life with the values of your soul. It's like writing your own personal constitution. You find the answers to what is important to me. What kind of life do I want to live? Not outside, but within yourself. This is a feeling of tremendous empowerment. You are no longer a leaf blown by the wind of life, but a captain charting your own course. You take full responsibility for your life. Stage 6. The consciousness of unity. You've built your own house. You've found peace and wholeness in your inner world. And now you start looking out from the windows of that house. But this time, you see the view very differently. This is the 6th stage, the consciousness of unity. It is the end of the illusion of separation. Up until this point, the journey was largely about the me, my pain, my quest, my shadow, myself. But in this stage, the word me gradually begins to lose its meaning and is replaced by we. Symptoms: you feel deep compassion and empathy, not only for your loved ones, but also for those who have wronged you. You see the pain, fear, and ignorance behind their actions. You feel an incredible connection with nature. You see a tree not just as a piece of wood, but as a living, breathing, wise being. You no longer feel the need to compete with anyone, because you understand that another's success is not your failure. Your fear of death diminishes or disappears completely, because you understand that what you call you is much more than this body and this identity. A desire to serve arises. But this is not an ego-driven desire to save people. It is a simple desire to contribute to the good of the whole, with your very presence and every small action. This consciousness of unity lifts you above worldly dramas and allows you to see events from a broader, more universal perspective. This is one of the greatest gifts of spiritual awakening, inner peace. And with this peace, you arrive at the final stage, not the end of the journey, but its true beginning. Stage 7. Living enlightenment. Enlightenment is not about reaching the top of a mountain and meditating there forever. Enlightenment is climbing that mountain, seeing the view, and then coming back down to live in the marketplace, in the midst of ordinary life. With that wisdom. This is the 7th and final stage, living enlightenment. The search is over. You have understood that what you were seeking was always within you and around you. You no longer try to get somewhere. You simply are. The symptoms of this stage are usually very simple and quiet. You accept life as it is, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly. You know they are all part of the same play. You stop resisting and move with the flow. A spontaneous, childlike joy enters your life. You derive deep pleasure from the simplest things. You no longer perform spiritual practices as a duty. Meditation becomes as natural as breathing. Every moment becomes a meditation. Your very presence becomes a source of healing. You don't need to do or say anything. Just your being helps others remember the light within themselves. This stage is not the end of the journey. It is where the game truly begins. Life is no longer a struggle but a dance. It is not a test but a play. And you are both the player, the play, and the silent witness watching the game. So, where are you on this map? Perhaps you saw yourself clearly in one stage, or maybe you're fluctuating between a few. Remember, this is not a linear progression. It's a spiral. Sometimes it may feel like one step forward, 2 steps back, and that is completely normal. The most important thing is to be on the path, to feel that splinter, to hear the call, and to take that first step. Now, I want you to write in the comments, which of these 7 stages best describes your current life? Have there been times on this journey when you felt alone, when you thought no one understood you? Let's share our stories. Because on this path, our greatest strength is knowing of each other's existence. If you want to explore the depths of this map further and find new guides to illuminate your journey, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and join our family. Liking the video and commenting helps this content reach everyone who needs it. Remember, wherever you go, the only thing you are seeking is yourself. And you are already here.